to another episode of Real Money Matters. Rachel Kennedy here, and I personally want to thank you for tuning in and watching the program today. As every week, I enjoy coming to you every week, just sharing with you tips on how you can better manage your money. I enjoy coming to you, letting you know that your money matters. It matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage what's been entrusted to you. So as always, we want you to go and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, let them know that Real Money Matters is on the air now. And you can tune in, and we would like you to take this time as well, if you haven't already, to go and get you a pad of paper, something to write on, something to take your notes on, so that you can jot down your tips and ideas and things that may spark an interest as we go through today's show and discuss money matters. Also, go grab your favorite drink, a cup of java, juice, water, whatever your desire is, so that you can come and get in the moment with me today. I want to share with you some important things that's going to help you manage your money. We talked about a lot of things over the course of the shows, and today we're going to do some recapping, but we're also going to bring out some other important points. But I'm just so glad you tuned in. I want to personally thank my mom. She's listening and watching today, and thank you, Mom, for watching and being a support of the program. And I encourage you, if you'd like to, you can call in. If you had a question, you can call in at 248-996-8954. 248-996-8954. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to contact me, you can contact me via email at realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. Again, realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. So we're coming to you today, like I said, live, and we're glad you joined us. I enjoy coming to you every week. I appreciate you tuning in and watching. Those who have been watching, feel free to email me, let me know what your thoughts are, if you have any questions or any tips that can be beneficial to help others as well. I'd love to hear from you, because we're a team and we're working together, and we want to be helpers one of another. So you may have some points that I haven't considered, so we want to hear from you and know what your thoughts are as well. Yesterday we celebrated a holiday, 4th of July, and I did have a challenge out there for you all, and I asked you all to take some time, not the whole day, take a few moments of your day and maybe reorganize your finances and get a look at where you are financially. Were you able to do that successfully yesterday? Hopefully you had a moment. I hope you didn't spend the whole day doing it, because we wanted you to enjoy the festivities and the holiday, and hopefully your family and your friends, you got a chance to get some rest and enjoy the fireworks. Oh my, there were so many fireworks going on in my neighborhood. I'm sure yours too. I couldn't even go to sleep last night, but it was fabulous. It's always good to take some time out of your busy schedule and spend time with your family, and hopefully you did that. I would like to let you know I did take some time that morning and got up and got some paperwork done, and it made my day flow a little better, and I was productive and I felt good about that. So hopefully you were able to identify that. Hopefully you didn't overspend your budget for the holiday. I know some people spend a lot of money on food and barbecuing and things of that nature. Hopefully you didn't blow your budget on that. But if you did, I hope you told your budget you were going to blow it on that. So at least you were in control of that. So we're still talking about budgets, and we're talking about preparing for our future, preparing for a better, healthy financial life situation. And saying that, it seems like every month we're having a holiday. We really do, every month. This was July. Do we have a holiday in August? I'm not sure. But I know that Christmas is coming, though. Christmas is coming in December, and we are still on our countdown. We're on our countdown. Every week I'm going to bring up Christmas, because I'm telling you, you're going to feel so much better by planning ahead. And I was thinking about the Christmas season coming up. And another thing I was thinking about, plan not only to give gift, plan to give some of your time. I was thinking about, there's a lot of opportunities to volunteer and help feed the homeless, help do things of that nature, maybe even save and budget toward, if you're not able to physically go out and volunteer, maybe you're able to donate some of those dollars to help during that season, because they feed a lot of people continuously. There are programs that feed them all the time, and it'd be great for you to be able to even give to those, but we want you to budget for that as well. So I was thinking about that. So think about adding that to your Christmas list, being a blessing or helping the homeless or helping someone that's less fortunate, or even children. There are single parents out there who have children who they aren't able to be a support to them the way they want to be. So, be that time of Christmas. Think about not only buying gifts for your family and friends, think about those that are less fortunate too, that you want to help and that you want to support during that time. And once you get in that habit, then make it a regular thing, not just once a year. Maybe think about once a quarter. And when you get yourself in a financial situation where you're living below your income, within your means, below your income, you might be able to do that on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. Consider that today. I want you to consider that. Consider thinking about someone else and being a blessing and helping others. And so in preparing for Christmas, hopefully you've taken some of the ideas and tips I've given you. We have 173 days until Christmas. I'm telling you, it's going to be here before you even realize it. Now just think about it. If you save $1 a day up until Christmas, that's $173. Okay, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's you can do it effortlessly. You could do it without even thinking about it, $1 a day. And just imagine if it was $2. If you save $2 a day, that would double that. You'd have $346. That's a little bit more significant. You could be a blessing and help a lot of people with that kind of resource, especially if you catch sales, look at, identify things now that you can buy. In the summer, some things are on sale. So you have to identify your list, identify how you want to bless the people that are on your list. Think about, if that's almost 24 weeks, if you say $10 a week, if you want to break it down weekly, that's $240. And then if you double that, $480. So I'm just giving you little tips and little thoughts about the savings. Hopefully it's not too late to start that Christmas fund at a financial institution. Those are wonderful. You can put money in there and they will not give you access to it. Some people need that discipline and need that help. Well, they won't even give you access until November. So think about that. Think about starting that. Also, the envelope system, I mentioned that to you before. So you say, well, what is that? Well, watch my previous shows and you can find out. I'm not going to go into that. So I wanted to talk to you about that. We did the holidays and we're going to prepare for it. Remember, your budget changes every month. Every month is different. It's not the same. So there's nothing wrong with you if you say, well, I can't, balance my budget because it's different every month. We talked about that. We talked about the fact that you have irregular income and you have irregular expenses. And so you have to account for those. And you look at your calendar. Look at your calendar. You identify things that are unusual in that particular month. Maybe your insurance is due quarterly and not monthly. Those are things that would be irregular because it doesn't happen every month. But I tell you what's a good thing to do. If you know you have a bill that you pay quarterly and that's due quarterly or annually, then divide it up into a monthly situation. So you're always prepared and you always have what is needed for that particular moment. So that's a few little points about our budget. We are going to continue to build it. We're going to continue to work it. You've put a lot of work into it, and I applaud you for that. And I'm here for you if you have any questions or need help in developing that. I also have some forms that are available to you. If you'd like, you can email me, and I'd be glad to get those out to you as well. Again, you can reach me at RachaelRKennedy.com. So those are some things as we go and as we develop. We want to continue to think about our budget. That should be something that's continuously on our mind, the B word, the budget. Continuously think about ways to reduce it, ways to allow yourself to have extra and excess, because we talked about debt, and we're going to get further into that a little later on, because we did start the subject last week, and hopefully it didn't scare you away, because the first step to solving anything is acknowledging it. You have to acknowledge it first, and once you acknowledge it, that's half the battle. You've acknowledged it, so now you're able to get the help that you need. And by tuning in and watching my show weekly, that is my goal, and that is to help you to get yourself in a place of financial responsibility. But guess what? I can tell you, and I can teach you, and I can give you the tips, but you are the one that's going to do the work. I can coach you, but you have to do the exercise. You have to develop those muscles, and you have to cut back on your eating and your spending. You know, it's the same kind of analogy as dieting. Is your budget is almost the same. You know, in order to lose weight, you have to reduce your caloric intake, and you have to increase your exercise. So what does that mean? You have to burn more than you consume. So in the case of a budget, you have to spend less than you make. And so we're going to talk more about that. Today's quote, I have a quote for you, and it's going to be in line with some things we're going to be talking about later. And the quote today is from a W.J. Cameron. And the quote for today is, "Money never starts an idea. It is the idea that starts the money." Think about that. You can have an idea that can bring increase in your life, that can bring more income into your life, but it's that idea that's going to bring the money. And so we're going to talk about that. We want to get you into a place where you are learning to increase what you have in your house, and how to reduce the debt that has been created on your behalf. Let's review some debt things that we talked about last week. What is debt? What even is it? And debt is making a commitment to purchase products or services and agree to pay for the obligation in the future. And we used our example last week of Wimpley. You remember Wimpley from Popeye? He said, "I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today." What was that? He was going into debt for a hamburger. So we want to see, when you borrow money, or when you make a promise that you're going to pay for something in the future, you're obligating that money. And so guess what? When you earn it, it doesn't even belong to you. You haven't even earned the money yet, and you're already obligating yourself to pay debts and to pay things because you want it now. We talked about secured debt, and the secured debt was a debt that's tied to an asset, a collateral. The banks usually require you to have, like for a house or for a car, those types of things. Those are called they're considered secured debt. They're considered secured debt. And so then you have things like unsecured debt, which is like credit cards, things that don't have an attachment to it and no risk involved. With secured debt, there's a risk. If you don't pay for the item, then the bank can collect that item back to offset the debt. In an unsecured situation, that's not the case. Most of the times it's consumable things that can't be repossessed. And so what happens is you have a higher interest rate on that. So we've talked about secured debt. We talked about unsecured debt. We mentioned what happens with debt when it's out of control, and how debt, when it's accompanied by improper financial planning and not planning at all. So a lot of times you may see something that you want, or you think you need it now, and so what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you'll get it now, because they make it so easy. I tell you, they make it easy for you to, they say, buy something now and don't pay for 6 months. Don't pay for 12 months. They draw you in. They have those commercials and things, and they draw you in, and I understand it could be challenging. But what I want to do is bring an awareness to you that debt puts a assumption on your future. It assumes you're going to make that money. You may not even, who knows what happens. Life happens and things happen. But it puts a presumption that you're going to be able to make that money in order to pay it back. So it's always best to pay for things cash, to save toward big items that you want to purchase, or even if there's a big item, say for instance a vehicle. If you want to purchase a vehicle, maybe not get a new vehicle, get a good used vehicle with low miles. Search it out. Those things are out there. Those are just some tips. Is say if you want to buy a vehicle like that, and then maybe if you don't have the money to pay the whole thing, save up half of it. That's an option. We have options. I think a lot of times we don't think we have options, that we have to take what's given to us, but we do. We have options with everything. So, for instance, if you want to purchase this car, if you don't want to pay on it forever, 5 years, 6 years, think about saving up half of it. Save up half and then finance the other, and then plan to pay it off early. There are always ways to get to do things differently. So I just want to bring your awareness to that and open your mind to think. It's not just one. There was an old saying that said there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Who wants to skin a cat? But that was the saying, so, but I'm saying there are options with our finances. And so I want you to be not consumed with debt, because it causes worry and anxiety. It robs us of our time and our money. And so we're trying to avoid that. The first way to avoid that is to stop spending on buying things on credit. I mean, that's a discipline that we have to have within ourselves. And we have to see the bigger picture, and we have to see that we want to be in a situation where we are debt free, where we owe no man nothing but to love them. And that's what the Bible says. So many of you have hopefully identified. Last week I asked you to do an assignment, and that assignment was to identify all of your debt from the lowest balance to the highest balance. What I want you to do is start getting an awareness of what your debt is. If someone said, if you tell me how much you owe in debt right now, I would pay it off to the penny. Could you give them that number? Do you have that number today? I want you to work on that number, not so that you can be discouraged, but so you can see that you can have a plan on how to get out of that situation. And you might be surprised. Well, you probably will be surprised, but it might not be as much as you think. You might have a number in your head that's not the actual amount. It could be lower, but then again, it could be higher. But until you identify it, until you write it down and acknowledge it, then there becomes an awareness, something about writing stuff down. When you write it down, it becomes alive. We had talked about before the scripture in Habakkuk where it says, write the vision and make it plain. And when you get it, you run with it. And what happens was when you write stuff down, there's a force that pulls on that vision. If you continue to rehearse it, you have to rehearse it, first of all, and continue to see it and watch it, and then it wants to come to pass. It yearns and aches to come to pass. So write it down, and just to get up and say, I'm out of debt every day. Get up and say, I owe no man nothing, and then work towards that. Not just saying it. Faith and action go together. You can believe for a certain thing, but there's some action that has to be put to that. So I'm going to encourage you to write down if you haven't done it yet, it's not too late. Identify all of your debt. Write it down from the smallest to the largest. Also, identify your interest rate, because we want to look at those things that have higher interest rates too, because we want to concentrate on those as well. And so we're going to do what we call a debt snowball. And what is a debt snowball? If you're currently making payments, minimum payments, which when you pay your minimum payment on your credit card, it takes you much longer to get out of that debt. And so what we want to do is be able to double those payments. But we have to identify it where you are first. So get write down all of your debt from the smallest to the greatest. Right next to it, put the interest rate that you're paying on those. And we're going to come up with some strategies. We'll come up with strategies to help you to reduce that debt quickly and get out of it. I'm going to encourage you also to focus on earning extra income. Earning extra income and identifying when you earn that extra income that it's going to go specifically to paying off the debt. Yes, we're going to need your discipline in this area again. You want to set a goal of being debt free, because it'll free you up to be able to help others, to get yourself in a position where you're not bogged down and worried about that, and you're not putting presumptions on your future that you're going to even have the potential to earn that income to do that. So we're going to talk about that, but in the meantime, let's take a little break, and we'll come back to you momentarily. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, let them know Real Money Matters on the air. Refreshing your drink, and we'll be back in just a moment with some more valuable information concerning your finances. back now and you're ready to get some more important tips. Hopefully you let somebody know that I'm on the air. And I'm so glad you tuned in and you came back in. And we're talked about debt, and I know that could be a challenging thing. The first thing I want to encourage you about debt is to eliminate it by stop buying on credit. Spend less than you make, and we're going to use your extra money or extra money you get to pay off debt. In dealing with debt, I know it can be a challenging situation. You need help tackling it. And so if you don't have the discipline to do it yourself, don't feel bad. You know, we all need help at some point in time. Look into a good debt consolidation program. They have some out there. Always do the research on anything that you want to get yourself involved with or attach yourself to a situation, whether it's purchasing something or whether it's being a part of a program or doing something. Research it out there. They have some good Christian debt consolidation programs out there that I've known personally have helped some people to get out of a debt situation. So if you feel overwhelmed and you feel like I just can't do that on my own, I need help, and that's okay. That's why they have programs out there that will help you, that will walk you through it. And once you walk through it and you get over it and you're able to conquer that particular item or debt, then you can maybe help someone else, or you can lead someone else to who helped you as well. And that's all it's all about. It's one person doesn't have it all. We want to work together. If it's not me that can help you, then I want somebody else that can help you as well. So you do the research. It's your life, and you should take ownership of that. And you should say, well, I'm going to get out of debt. What do I do? How do I start? Well, first, of course of all, you start by looking at my programs. I encourage you to do that, and I encourage you to reach out to me through email. Reach out to me through there. I'd love to communicate with you on there and give you some help even in that area too. So don't be ashamed. There's no shame in needing help and getting help. There's shame when you need help and you're not reaching out for someone to help you. And so if you need to tackle that because it's a difficult situation, you know, don't condemn yourself. All of us have gone and made some bad choices in life, but the best way to get away from bad choices is to make good choices. So the more better choices you make gets you further away from that bad choice, and you'll feel better about yourself. So I congratulate you even for listening and not tuning away or turning a deaf ear to the fact that there is debt. And sometimes it's hard to acknowledge when we've done something that isn't, that's not right or doesn't bring increase into our life or betterment to our life. But we can always change. As long as we have life, we have a chance to change our situation. It only takes one phone call. It takes one person encouraging you. It takes one decision towards the right side to change your situation totally for the better. And that's what we're here for. We're here to encourage you to get in a better place financially, and you'll see it'll affect your whole life. Money is tied to your emotions. Why is money tied to your emotions? Because you spend part of your life to earn that income. You give up part of your life every day. So there's an emotional thing that happens with money in making it and also in spending it, because you want to have that feel-good thing about it. You want to feel good. You know, I worked hard. You know, I deserve this. But you deserve to have yourself in a place where you're not bogged down with debt. And so we're going to, I had mentioned before, your income. I like to think of it as a pie. I want to revisit that. Your income is a pie. You only have so much of it. And depending on who you're feeding determines who gets what part of the pie they get. And so we had talked about before the different percentages that the average overall spending that is required. And mostly when you have a pie, the biggest expense or the biggest percentage of that pie goes to your housing, to your living costs, because that involves so much. Housing involves your rent or your mortgage, you know, your insurance, or whether it's a homeowner's insurance or if it's a renter's insurance. It involves your the whole total upkeep of the house and all of the things that are involved in you having a place to live, a dwelling place. most of your pie will go towards that. Not to include your utilities. Your utilities, that takes up another percentage. But I guess I'd like to group all that together. The housing and the utilities, because that's all part of that. That's going to take most of your pie. The other area that takes a lot of pie is your transportation, depending on if you have your own vehicle. If you own your vehicle, if you're leasing your vehicle, because you have the insurance and you have the maintenance and you have the gas, the upkeep of that vehicle. So when you think of one particular aspect of it, there are other things that are affected by it. Like I said, just having a car is not enough. You have to have the insurance and the registration. Don't forget about that. So there are other things that are tied to those. And then you think about your tags, that's an irregular expense because it doesn't happen every month, right? It's usually an annual thing. We had mentioned that before, identifying something that's going to be different this month. This month is my birthday month, so I have a different month because I have to pay my registration for my vehicle. So that's an irregular thing that I had to plan for, and I planned for it last month. So that's what I want you to do. Start getting awareness, looking at what your expenses are regular, and begin to develop and get that in your mind. And once you even think about it, I'm telling you, you must write it down. Writing it down makes it so real. Writing it down and rehearsing it, it makes it so real, and it helps it to come alive, and it keeps it refreshed in your mind. Because a lot of times, if we have a tendency to forget about stuff, if we don't see it often, we'll forget about it, and it'll become a faint memory to us. And I want to keep this awareness, enlightenment ever before you, because it's an everyday occurrence. Every day we need money, whether we spend it or not. Every day there's a cause to spend money. How about every day being a cause to earn money? Let's turn that thing around. I'd love to be in that position where we had even talked about wages versus income. Wages is something you work for. Income is money that comes to you in other ways that you don't have to work for. And so we want to, create those kind of avenues of revenue because they're out there and the opportunity is there, but it's up to us to do the work and think about it. So we have this pie, and like I said, you only have so much of it. It depends on the size of the pie, or the person you're feeding will determine the size of the pie that they need. What I'm getting down to is your debt ratio. Your debt percentage of that pie should be no more than 5 to 10%. So 5 to 10% of your income may go to debt. So just think about, once you eliminate that debt, then that 5 to 10% can go towards other things. It can go towards your savings. It can go towards your investment. How many of you have children? Children are an investment. They say children are our future, and they are. And what we invest in them today will determine what their outcome is tomorrow. And so when you have that extra money from your debt, once you've paid off your debt, and that's going to be a wonderful day. You know what I'd like for you to do? Once your debt is paid off, let's do a debt burning cancellation situation. Celebrate it. If you have a debt that's like $200, maybe that's your minimum, $500, whatever the case. Whenever that debt is paid off, go and celebrate it. Go and burn it in the fireplace or go and tear it up or shred it in your shredder and say paid in full. Get yourself a stamp that says paid in full. I'm going to be debt free. That's a good way to encourage you. Don't go and re-up it again. Once you cancel that debt and you pay that debt, celebrate it. Celebrate, because that's a good thing. You've taken initiative and you've thought about that and you've worked hard to bring yourself into a place of paying off debt. So once you pay off that debt, then pay off the next one. Each time that you eliminate debt, I want you to celebrate it. And I don't want you to celebrate it by getting in more debt or buying something, but perhaps by taking that money and saving it or using it towards eliminating your next debt. So we're going to get a debt paid in full cancellation stamp, and we're going to pay all our debt off in full. And you can do it. I know you can. We're here every step of the way to help you through this process. I want to talk about identifying other income that you may get that can help you to eliminate debt. There are many people who get tax refunds. Think about that. What have you done with your tax refund in the past? Have you used it and splurged it and used it to go on a vacation or to buy you some things that you haven't gotten? I want to encourage you and to think about that coming up. You know, if you're going to get are you one of the population that get a large debt, a large tax refund, then think about paying off debt. Think about getting yourself in a situation where you don't owe anybody money, and that's what we're talking about with debt cancellation. Do you know debt did not just start now? They had debt in the Bible days. Do you believe that? They had debt back then as well. Debt goes way back, and it just didn't start now. I think they're being more creative with how they attract people and get them into debt now. But back in the Bible days, they had debt. And I want to share with you a story out of 2 Kings today. It's in 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, and it's verses 1 through 7. And I'm going to read it out of the Message Bible for you. And it's a prime example of debt. And not only debt, but a way to get out of debt. So listen to this carefully. Again, 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7. And the scripture reads, "One day the wife of a man from the guild of prophets called out to Elisha, 'Your servant, my husband, is dead. You well know how good a man he was, devoted to God. And now the man to whom he was in debt is on his way to collect by taking my 2 children as slaves.' So what happened was, her husband had died and he owed some money. And the debt collector, didn't matter that he was dead. He didn't care. He wanted his money. And he was going to make those that were alive to pay for his debt. So that's a lesson right there, just thinking about that. When you leave debt behind, you know, your loved ones could possibly be in a situation where they'll have to be responsible or accountable for your debt. So keep that in mind as well. So he was in debt. He was on his way to take her 2 sons. She had 2 sons. And they were going to make them slaves to pay back. See, what I told you about debt being a presumption that you're going to be able to make that income. He died and he wasn't able to make that income. So there was a presumption on his part by getting into debt. So anyway, so the prophet said, 'I wonder how I can be of help. Tell me, what do you have in your house?'" That is a key thing to think about. What do you have in your house? And she said, "Nothing," she said. And then she said, well, then she thought about it. So our first instinct and our first thought is to say, well, I don't have anything. I don't have nothing. Well, you know, think about it. Think about it. There's something there. Whether you have some things that you've collected that you maybe need to clean your house and do a yard sale. I'm just saying. There is something in your house. If you don't have a gift or a talent, you can't tell me you don't. Everybody has something within them that they can give. But just look around your house. What's in your house? What can you do that's going to bring additional income to help you to reduce your debt? So back to the scripture. Here's what I want you to do. This is the prophet talking to the lady. He told her to go up and down the street and borrow jugs and bowls from all of your neighbors. And not just a few, all you can get. Then come and lock the door behind you, you and your sons. Pour oil into each container. When each is full, set it aside. So he gave her instructions, specific instructions on how to use what she has in her house to bring increase into her life and to pay off debt. So she did exactly what he said. See, the key to instructions is application. I could tell you all day, do this, do that. And until you do it and try it for yourself, you're not going to know if it's going to be successful or not. But 9 times out of 10, if you put forth the effort to follow the instructions that are laid out for you, and this was wonderful, he gave her a specific plan. You need a specific plan to follow in order to bring that vision to pass. And so what happened was, so she went and she did what he said. That's the key. Do what you're told. So she locked her door behind her and her sons, and as they brought the containers to her, she filled them. And when all the jugs and bowls were full, she said to her son, one of her sons, "Another jug, please." And he said, "That's it. There are no more jugs." Then the oil stopped. She went and told the story to the man of God, the one who told her what to do, and he said, "Go sell the oil and make good on your debts." So she followed the instructions. After she followed it, she came back to him and said, "Well, I did what you said. Now what?" Now he said, "Go sell it." So what she had in her house, she went and did a production. And she went behind the door. Sometimes when you do things, you can't let people know what you're doing. You know, you can use their advice. When she went to her neighbors and got the jugs, you know, they may have asked her, "What do you need my jug for? What do you want that for?" But she didn't, address that. She's like, "Just give me your jugs." What was she doing? She was networking. That was a form of networking. You reach out to other people, and you don't necessarily tell them everything that you're doing or what's going on. You just know that it takes a team, and it takes people around you that have different gifts and talents that can add to your life to help you bring increase. Oh my goodness, I'm excited about this. Are you listening today? So what happened here? So what happened, he told her to go sell the oil and make good on your debts. Live both you and your sons on what's left. She had not only enough to pay off her debt so they would not come and take her sons into bondage, into slavery, but she had enough for her and both her sons to live off on. How many you know it takes a lot for a man to live? You got to feed them. They eat a lot. But she had enough to pay her debts and to live off the rest. That is an amazing story in the Bible. So what do we have here? So he gave her a business plan. She had a business plan. And she had to work that plan to its fulfillment in order for it to manifest. She could have went and got all those jars and just had them in her house. She could have got all those jars and filled them and left them there. That wasn't the end of the process. The next step to the process was to go and sell them. Go and sell it back to the same people you probably got the jars from empty. You got the empty jars, but she has a product now. She has something that is desired now that they would want to purchase from her. And so she used those same tools that she got from them to sell it back to them. Isn't that a concept? Oh my gosh. So she had a business plan. She developed the plan. She got the resources for the plan. She sold the product, and she brought the profits to her life, and then she lived off of it. Another thing I got out of this story was the fact that once the jugs and the empty bowls stopped coming, she ran out of oil. So you don't want to ever be in a situation where you run out of jars to fill. Always have an opening. Always have an avenue, an area where you can have opportunity for growth, opportunity for income. Opportunity is the key word. You have to make sure that doesn't run out. She went to her community, like I said, and she persuaded her neighbors to get involved in her infrastructure, in building her business, in the networking part of it. That is something so important that, like I said, get others involved. And then she involved her sons. Family, family, family. Get your family involved in your business. Make it a legacy. Leave something for your children's children. Get them involved with what you're doing. Help them to develop even a business that's going to help them to bring increase in their life. Teach your children at a young age about debt and not getting into debt. I had a situation with my daughter. This was so funny. I was thinking about this the other day, where she got her first cell phone. I think she was 8 years old. And it was hesitant. We were hesitant about doing it, but these days, we fell into that. So we got her a cell phone and got one of those little pick up and go plans. It was like $25 a month, real inexpensive. Gave her so many minutes or whatever, and it was so funny. So what happened was the bill came due. So she pays $5 of it, and I paid $20 of it. So the time came up for her first phone bill. I said, well, your phone bill is due. And she was like, well, can you wait on the $5? I was like, well, can you call the company, see if they'll wait on the $5? She was like, oh, Mom. I'm like, no, you want me to wait. This is your phone. This doesn't benefit me. So it took 2 times. So her phone got cut off. So she had to wait till she paid her $5. So this happened about 2 times with my daughter and her paying her phone bill. So after those 2 times, it took 2 times. After that, my daughter was like, hey, if I don't pay my bill, then my phone's going to get cut off. So she started paying her bill in advance. I was shocked. She would come and pay 2 and 3 months in advance on her phone bill. Why? Because she realized if she doesn't take care of her obligations, she doesn't get the benefit. There's a cost. There is a cost. So what I'm saying teach your children financial responsibility. Don't get them in a place where they are putting themselves in debt. Teach them at a young age. So get back to our story. Not just an example with this story. Not only did supernatural or did debt cancellation happen, but she had enough to live on the rest of her life. It brought increase and prosperity to her life. And that's what I want you to do today. I want you to go in retrospect. I want you to look within yourself. Look within your house. What do you have in your house that can bring income? Can you paint? Can you cut lawns? Think about it. Can you bake cookies? There is always a market for something. There is something that you do well, and you may take it for granted that you do it because you do it all the time, and you haven't even considered or thought about it. But what I want you to do is use what's in your house, use within you that's going to help you to bring extra income to eliminate your debt. How would you like to look back next year this time, and have eliminated half of your debt? Let's make it a goal. Let's make it set a goal. Write it on the paper. Get you a debt cancellation stamp. We want to cancel out debt. We're going to we're going to kill it and bury it, and we're going to give it a funeral. We're going to put it to rest. We're going to make better choices, and we're going to get help when we need it, whether that's watching the programs, contacting me, getting in touch with a debt consolidation program, whatever, by any means possible. We sometimes have to be radical in getting out of our situations. We have to be radical and take some radical steps to break up some things that we've been doing all along to change our mindset. So I want you to think about that. Think about what's in your house. You can have a yard sale, a garage sale. You can have lots of things that have accumulated and you haven't used it. I was talking to someone and they said if they haven't used something in 6 months, then they get rid of it. Wow. Can you imagine how many clothes do you have in your closet that you can get rid of? Some of it you might not can even fit anymore because it's too big, right? I don't know. But I'm saying there is something. There is a resolve and there is help in your house. If you just look around today, take a look and see what you have, whether it's something you can sell or a service you can offer. I want you to think about that, and I want you to use that to build yourself a business plan to get yourself out of debt. And then once you're out of debt, then you can get yourself into a wealthy place, to a place where you have access, where you have money to invest and to grow your money, and get yourself in a situation where you're weren't earning wages, but you're earning income that you can live off interest. So we're going to talk about that further. I'm going to take a short little break, and we'll be back in a few moments. Call a friend, call a neighbor. Let them know Real Money Matters is on the air. Thank you. back in Real Money Matters. I tell you, I have enjoyed my time with you here today, talking about getting yourself out of debt. The most important thing I want you to do to take from this day's lesson, today's show rather, is identifying your debt. You know, look what's in your house. Find a way to bring increase in order for you to reduce your debt. We want to get back to our basics that we talked about. And we talked about stewardship and responsibility and accountability. Setting goals. You can do this. It's not impossible. And I want to hear your success story. I want to see your success all the way through. I want this time next year for you to say, Rachel, look, I followed these plans and I'm debt free. I burnt all of these debts up. I have a paid in full stamp that said paid in full. My gosh, I would love to enjoy that moment with you. Let me know when your debt is paid off. Send me an email. You can contact me at realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. I'd love to share your stories with others. That can be an encouragement. Sometimes we have to encourage one another. So let's get back to the basics. Set your goals. Write them down. Make them plain. Because those visions, once you set them, once you take the time and the energy to write it down, rehearse them, put them in your car, put them in the bathroom, put it wherever, on the refrigerator. You know you go there every day. Put it up there. Let it be in your face to know that you have. Draw a picture of a pie. Draw a picture of a pie that shows what your income is. Look at that pie and see which portion is going to what. How much are you putting to the different areas of your income, your percentages. Know your percentages. Know that you can reduce those. Whatever they are, you can change them. You can make them lower. Let's try to set a goal to live on 70% of our income. Let's reduce that. Let's look at within our house to find what do we have in our house that we can sell. What service do we have that we can offer that's going to allow supernatural increase and supernatural debt cancellation to occur in our lives. Until next week, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you watching me week to week. If you like a copy of the spreadsheets or the budget sheets or the debt cancellation sheets, feel free to email me at realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. Until next week, just remember, it matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage the money that's been entrusted to you. Until next week, save and budget. Remember the B word.